This is Danny Neff's Professional Growth for Practicum 2. I was placed at Meadowlark Elementary, Bozeman, Montana, and this is for the summer session of 2016. I was able to work with Mrs. Nelson's fifth grade class, which was spectacular. It was a little bit different than first grade that I had for Practicum 1. I was a little nervous going into the whole class, but overall, everything turned out to be absolutely amazing. In the class, there's 11 boys and 14 girls, and of those students, one of them actually had a medical IEP. My professional goal was from Domain 3, dealing with instruction and communication with students. And overall, I really just wanted to concentrate on this instructional goal. And overall, I ended up concentrating on something much different. Instruction is key when dealing with classroom management, and I have always done fairly well when I'm speaking with adults, but with younger students, it's a little different for me. You have to incorporate differentiated instruction, and that needs to take place each and every day. And I wanted to consistently give clear, explicit instruction to these students in order to meet these individual needs. This was something that I had tried to do last semester for Practicum 1, so I tried to carry this instructional goal over on to Practicum 2. Thought it would be a perfect way to try to get to that proficient stage of instructional goals, and we'll talk about how I did here coming up. My action plan with this instructional goal was to really get to know the teacher and the students, and I feel like that's a perfect foundation of where to start. So over this last month, I've really stepped out of my comfort zone in order to being proficient with instruction. It's a little different dealing with instruction with fifth graders rather than first graders. And for the first week, I decided that I would just kind of observe what Kara did with her students in order to really meet these goals. The first few weeks, students were doing standard-based testing, so it was a little different. I didn't get to see the whole spectrum of how she did things as far as moving from subject to subject, transitioning, giving clear instruction for activities or lesson plans. So it was a little different, but overall, it was a great experience to see these kids go through this testing. Um, During specific lessons, I would ask if Miss Nelson, when I'm teaching, could really look at what I'm doing with instruction and how it is involved in my lesson. So I was always trying to be one that is working on instruction. But a lot of times, like I said before, it'd be time management, and there's always another domain being involved when you make a plan or a goal through Danielson's frameworks of the four domains. So this feedback of Kara's helped tremendously with my confidence as each lesson that I taught. I ended up teaching roughly 5 lessons, all dealing with social studies, and it was a really great variety of lessons during the Civil War era. Implementing this goal, I would have to break my nerves. Um, that's the first step. I am a little shy, a little quiet around people. I have to be really comfortable in order to really open up. So I really wanted to get to know the students as well as Mrs. Nelson in order to use this implementation. Communication is huge. Dealing with the students, uh, collaborating with the students as well as Mrs. Nelson, getting proper feedback, knowing what I'm supposed to do better, and then just practicing this and trusting with the children, building that trust between the students and myself, as well as Mrs. Nelson. That was huge for me. And overall, the results turned really good through feedback from Mrs. Nelson as well as Donna, who was great. I definitely need some work, and I need to make some improvisions in order to becoming proficient with instruction. I feel like a lot of Practicum 2 students or even Practicum 1 students go into something and thinking that they're going to be able to conquer that goal. Well, it takes a lot of work, And that's what I found out through the last semester through practicum was that it really takes work and practice. It'd have been great to have like another month all day with these students. I feel like I could probably have got to that proficient stage as long as I'm able to teach more lessons. That's a little different when you have only roughly 2 weeks, a week and a half to do your lessons and get to know the students, especially with those standard-based testing taking up much of the time for me. And through these lessons, I was told that I needed to be a little bit more clear at the beginning of my lessons, especially with explaining activities. So after that first lesson, I had students repeat instructions that were given so other students could hear it from another peer and not just myself. And here are my resources. I really appreciate you listening. This has been such a great experience in practicum too. Catherine's been great. Donna, Nancy, it's been absolutely amazing. Catherine, I'm so happy for you. So stoked that you're moving on and you're going to have such a great career. We're all going to miss you here, and everything's been so spectacular over these last few months. I have I'm honored to be just even going to school here at Montana State University, especially going through the elementary education program. And thanks for listening. This is Danny Neff, and here are my resources.